I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would everyone rise for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everyone to tonight's Hillsdale City Council meeting of March 2nd, 2026. We have a roll call vote. City Clerk Price.
Yes, Councilperson Beck.
Here.
Bruns. Councilperson Flynn.
Here.
Morrissey.
Here.
Palladino.
Here.
Soha.
Present.
Stuchel.
Here.
Wolfram.
Here.
Mayor Sessions.
Here.
With 8 present.
All right, thank you. We did hear from Councilman Bruns and he will not be here tonight. So we're now going to approval of agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Mayor, Councilman Bruns did ask when he indicated he would not be here if the resolution regarding the Lifeway's facility bond would be removed from the agenda.
Okay. Is there any more changes?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Yes.
I would just request that, since this was a late change, that perhaps you consider giving them a dispensation to speak on it, because I think people are planning to come about the Lifeways issue. So I don't.
Well, if we're removing it from the agenda, there's really no reason to. So, because we're not going to be discussing it.
I mean, it's nothing to me, I guess. I'm not going to speaking to it. But if they came all this way, I would. It's up to you.
They would have an opportunity to speak at general council comment at the end of the meeting, so that opportunity still exists.
If I might also add, the county commissioner update is a standing agenda item, and that has been, I don't know if it's in the minutes from last meeting. It probably is in some form. Yeah. So it could be addressed in, from that direct perspective.
Thank you.
All right. Any more changes to the agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion to pass the agenda, amended agenda? Do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
So
Support?
I have a motion by Councilman Morrissey, supported by Councilman Flynn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Morrissey, supported by Councilman Soha to amend the agenda or approve the amended agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have an agenda. Okay, now we move into public comment on agenda items only. Please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And again, this is on agenda items only. Podium is now open.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, Councilman. My name is George Allen, and I live in Ward 4 with my wife and 4 children. I was going to address you regarding 2 agenda items today, but it seems one of them is currently off the table, so I'll just go over to the other thing I wanted to speak about. Regarding the so-called settlement resolution, I urge you to vote no for the following reasons. I don't believe this matter should be treated at all by this council as a serious legal threat whatsoever. I don't even think it should be on the agenda. Frankly, I think it should have been ignored. First of all, the lawsuit itself is groundless, as Mr. Moore cannot possibly contend that Mr. Palladino's remarks constitute defamation, not covered by normal legislative immunity. The discussion of Mr. Moore's appointment was confined to his qualifications and possible opinions regarding the work of the board to which he was to be appointed. Mr. Moore may claim that his position or opinion were misunderstood or misrepresented, but that does not rise to the level of defamation, nor does it warrant a lawsuit, nor does, I think, he have a prayer in court. This is a case clearly covered by a legislator's absolute immunity, and he and his legal counsel are kidding themselves if they think otherwise. Further, the resolution itself should be considered needless, because of course the opinion of a single council member given during discussions cannot be construed to be the opinion of the city or the council as a whole. No formal proclamation to that effect should ever be necessary. To vote in favor of this resolution would be to tacitly acknowledge that future such resolutions may be necessary, if the council ever wanted to publicly distance itself from the opinions of one member, which is absurd. Finally, it sets a dangerous precedent for councilmen to be sued by potential candidates for boards if that councilman makes a critical remark about that candidate during discussion of appointments. How can council honestly and publicly conduct business if its members are intimidated into silence or consent because of the threat of legal action? Candidates for boards and committees must be held up to scrutiny. That scrutiny will involve discussion, including speculation about that potential candidate's opinions or positions. That's necessary. The council cannot operate properly if members are held under threat of lawfare for daring to speak their minds, and I don't think this council should take the position that it's necessary for them to distance themselves in order to avoid a lawsuit that is absolutely absurd and groundless and cannot win in court. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the podium and we'll move into the consent agenda. I have approval of bills, city and BPU claims of February 12th, 2026 of $337,931.05. Payroll of February 12th, 2026 of $214,983.53. City Council minutes of February 16th, 2026. Finance minutes of February 16th, 2026. May I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support. Support. Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Morrissey, supported by Councilman Soha. Any council discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote. City Clerk Price.
Yes, Councilperson Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
Yeah, 8-0, it's approved.
All right, thank you. We'll move into communications petition. We have a letter from the 2026 Spring Cemetery Cleanup of Oak Grove and Lakeview Cemeteries. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move into communications petition. Item B, Kiefer House Construction Update Letter. Is there any council discussion? Councilman Soha.
Thank you. I called Nick Fox and asked him about the letter and what had happened, and he said that the former, I don't remember the name of Phoenix wasn't holding up their end of their agreement, and so they terminated the relationship. CL did, and they have found a new contractor who's already in place, so.
Councilman Bentley.
Thank you, Councilman Soha. I guess I'm a little surprised that Mr. Cohen and Mr. Fox aren't here. So whatever questions I might have, for instance, maybe the city manager or you know.
They didn't expect it to be on the agenda tonight, and I asked him if he's gonna be here, and he didn't expect it to be on the agenda tonight, but I would suggest that we maybe put something on the agenda for the 16th or 17th, whatever that day is, and invite him. He said he'd probably make that, or that one of them would make that, so.
Okay. So they fired the general contractor.
Yes, they fired the Phoenix, and then they brought in another one, but I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
Global Builders.
Global Builders.
And they're on site now?
As far as I understand, yes.
Okay.
Any more council discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into the Hillsdale County Commissioners update. Commissioner Doug Ingles.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Short update tonight, shorter than our last meeting that we had as Board of Commissioners. We had 5 hours. 9 o'clock to well after 2 o'clock. And then by the time I had another meeting after that, it was 4:30 by the time I was done with my Commissioner Day on Tuesday last week. We had 2 hours of public comment. The public comment revolved around and was about the $15.5 million bond, and the question of whether it would be approved by 3 or more commissioners or sent to a ballot by election of the people. All of the public comment was very firm in how they wanted the ballot by election to be a voice of the people, vote of the people, and not decided by 3 commissioners. The motion to rescind the resolution that put it on the ballot was tabled, and I do expect that it will be voted on at our next meeting, March 10th. So if you have any comments or questions or opinions about that $15.5 million bond for a new building at Lifeways, please do reach out to all of the commissioners. District 1 commissioner is me. District 2 commissioner is Kevin Collins. District 3 is Mark Wiley. District 4 is Brad Benzing. And District 5 is Brent Langinger. Please do send them an email with your opinion. That would be very helpful for us at our next meeting. In other business, the Budget Committee and the Facilities Committee are working very hard on finding either another location or a lower price for 2B District Court. I have full confidence that the plans will come together. We do have some time to work with. It's been quite a challenge as things do change, and we try and get the right answer. The important part of that is finding the right answer for Hillsdale County. And that completes my update for now. If you have any questions, please do ask.
Councilman Valley.
I'm sorry, you said the plans are coming together, where to move the courts?
Yeah, the planning process is moving along in a forward positive motion where we will find a good place for a good number of dollars, and we will have, by statute, we need to have a location for 2B District Court. It's been an ongoing process. The process is still ongoing, and we will find the right spot and the right price.
So I'm hearing you say that Care Drive is,
I can't say that.
you can't say one way or the other.
No, and here's why. If the Budget Committee recommended another location or a lower price, we're working on a lower price even, and 25 Care Drive absolutely is still in play.
Thank you.
It's very tricky.
Any more?
I'm sorry, is there a specific other location that's being looked at, or you can't
We've
say?
got several, you
Okay.
know. Nothing that's confirmed and has been decided or agreed upon by at least three commissioners.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Commissioner? Councilman Flynn.
Just a quick question, Doug. If on the 10th, the motion to rescind is passed by the county commissioners, what would the next step be? Would that automatically then approve the agreement with Lifeways, or are there more steps along the way before that were to happen?
If that resolution is rescinded, then there is no ballot proposal.
Right.
But that does not define what the next step is. There will be another step.
Okay. So if it passes, the rescind passes, just for clarity, that doesn't mean that automatically means that the county has agreed to back Lifeways with that
Correct.
bond, correct? Okay.
Correct, because we have not voted on that.
Okay, just wanted to clarify, thank you.
Councilman Valley.
Commissioner, I don't know if you know this, or if the clerk or the city manager, but when does Abe Dang need to final, if it's gonna go on the ballot in August, presumably?
I understand May is that date.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Corey says 21st. May 21st. Right, right.
Any more questions? Commissioner Ingles? Seeing none, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go into introduction and adoptions of ordinance, public hearing, ordinance amendment to rezone 120 South Broad Street. May I have Olivia Smith, zoning administrator, to the podium. Thank you.
So Planning Commission held a public hearing to consider the rezoning and submit their recommendation to you guys at their last meeting in February. So they're asking that you approve it with no conditions. So if you have any questions, please ask.
Is there any questions? Councilman Flynn.
I do have a question, Olivia. Is there, if you're going to put a business like the laundromat it says here, is there a minimum number of parking places that they're supposed to have? Because I'm just afraid that the side street's gonna get all blocked up with
Yeah, that will be
traffic
a
and stuff.
minimum based on our flow chart, based on the type of occupancy. So that will be addressed during the site plan process
Oh, okay,
when they do formally submit for that.
okay, thank you.
Councilman Morrissey.
Yeah, just for the record, there were no objectors, as I recall, to this proposal.
Any more questions?
I would then make a motion that we approve ordinance amendment to rezone 120 South Broad Street.
Second.
Second, I have a motion by Councilman Flynn, supported by Councilman Morrissey. Any council discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price.
Yes. Councilperson Morrissey.
Yes.
Palladino.
Yes.
Soha.
Yes.
Stuchel.
Yes.
Wolfram.
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
And Flynn.
Yes.
It's 8-0 approved.
Thank you. Okay. We'll, no old business, so we'll go into new business. Item A, Fire Chief turnout gear, City Manager Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor, and Chief Joswick is here this evening as well. But given he is an active firefighter as well and certified, we would like to purchase him his set of turnout gear for the city. And also, our full-time firefighters are in need of their helmets to be replaced. They're coming up on expiration dates. And it does take time to get this equipment, so we would like to request that the two be approved for a total of $6,640.50 from the public safety village.
Is there any questions for City Manager Mackey? Yes, Councilman Soha.
I just want council to know that the city manager called me and the public safety committee and asked if we wanted to meet together to discuss this before it was brought to council, because it was determined on Thursday that we could do this, and it was too late to submit it for the agenda, and we appreciated his input, and we all agreed independently that it should come before us as a body.
Councilman Bentley.
Thank you, Councilman Sola.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I had a chance to talk with Chief Ken. Nope. He knew I'd do that. Apologize, Chief Chris. And he had mentioned to me that in checking all these and some additional gear that he's going to ask for later this summer, he's actually saving us some money because he was able to find some decent pricing on some good equipment that won't harm safety at all, but he's able to save us a few pennies, so he's out there doing his due diligence, and I want to thank him for that. Chris.
Thank you. Is there any more questions? No, may I entertain a motion then to approve the two attached fire department purchases of $6,640.50 out of the public safety millage funds? So.
Support.
I have a motion by Councilman Soha, supported by Councilman Flynn. Any more council discussion? All right, seeing none, may I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price.
Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yes.
Councilperson Soha.
Yes.
Stuchel.
Yes.
Wolfram.
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
And Morrissey.
Yes.
It's 8-0 approved.
All right, thank you. Now we move into new business item B, the Eric Moore versus Josh Palladino and the City of Hillsdale settlement resolution. City Manager Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor. So attached is a retraction of a resolution for the City Council to adopt, which Mr. Moore's attorney, Jeffrey Hart, has indicated to the City Attorney's Office would be satisfactory to Mr. Moore to achieve a settlement with the city without requiring the city to make any monetary payment to Mr. Moore, provided that after its adoption, the resolution is read into the record at the March 2nd, 2026 council meeting, which is live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. Mr. Hart has indicated that Mr. Moore is willing to settle this matter with the city only, and the adoption and reading of the resolution will not constitute a settlement of any claims Mr. Moore may have against Mayor Pro Tem Palladino in his personal capacity. Recommendation is to adopt the resolution settling the matter between the city of Hillsdale and Mr. Moore. If council, well, Mayor?
Yep. May I entertain a motion then to adopt the attached resolution settling the matter between the City of Hillsdale and Mr. Moore?
So moved.
Move. Support. Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Stuccio, supported by Councilman Flynn, or second by Councilman Flynn. Any council discussion? Councilman Morrissey.
I'm not gonna vote for this because one of the clauses is simply incoherent. The city council on behalf of itself and the city of Hillsdale retracts Mr. Palladino's statements to the extent they were interpreted as conveying the beliefs of the city council of the city of Hillsdale regarding Mr. Moore. No one can retract something that he did not say. I cannot retract something that Councilman Bentley says. He cannot retract anything that I say. I have to retract what I say. He has to retract what he says. Furthermore, the further absurdity of this is it's retracting Councilman Palladino's statements to the extent that they were interpreted. Well, interpreted by whom? Someone else. We're being asked to retract something that was interpreted by someone else, but it was nothing. It makes no sense. That's an incoherent statement, and I'm not going to support it. As far as clarifying the business is concerned, we already clarified it. Actions speak louder than words. We supported Mr. Moore's appointment by the mayor, and we regarded him clearly as fit for the job. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Stuccio.
Thank you. I think Mr. Moore has offered his counsel and Mayor Pro Tem Palladino a lot of grace, a little easy way out of this. Definitely there was clearly a misunderstanding, but that misunderstanding could have been easily corrected. And I think Mr. Moore's offers one more act of his grace to just let this go. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that, first of all, I seconded this motion just so that we could have this discussion. Had it just died for lack of support, then nothing would have been said, and I know everybody wanted to kind of say something. I tend to agree with Mr. Morrissey on the points that he made. I tend to agree with others that have sent out emails on some of the points that they made. I also tend to agree with my years in the media business, where when you have a person or an opinion show or something like that, and it's still done today, where the little disclaimer that says the views of whomever do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management and ownership and sponsors of this program or this radio station or this television station. And several have brought up the good point that we really shouldn't have to say this in a resolution, that yes, we understand Mr. Palladino doesn't speak for the rest of us, neither does Mr. Sohab, neither does Mr. Bentley. They speak for themselves. But they wouldn't also, and I apologize for using this analogy, but it just makes sense to me, they wouldn't have to put caution, contents hot on the side of the McDonald's cup, you know, in a perfect world. You know, sometimes you have to beat these people over the head, you know, with, yeah, duh, we shouldn't have to say this, but I guess because you don't quite understand and think that, you know, we don't understand, that we have to put it out there for the city to say, the views expressed by one of our council people does not necessarily, you know, cover the rest of us. How that's going to play out if the next person that we nominate for a position on a board or a council, I honestly don't see this leading into all sorts of lawsuits where we have to pass a resolution for every single appointment. But I think that if this does get passed, it's a way to tell people, look, we understand, you know, and now you need to understand. So I'm hesitant on which way I'm going to go as of right now. I'll see how the rest of the discussion goes, but I just think that if we have to get down to basics and get down to fourth grade, you know, stuff and say, okay, once again, the city doesn't, you know, then we may have to just do that. And I appreciate the time.
Councilman Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to back up and try to understand how we got to this place. Mr. Attorney, Mr. Thompson, if you could give us some background, because we haven't heard anything for, I forget, Thursday or a week and a half ago maybe. How did this come about?
After the last council meeting, Mr. Moore's attorney contacted our office and made this proposal. Basically, that's how it came to be.
Is this his language?
Sort of. It's language that he agreed would be satisfactory from Mr. Moore's perspective to resolve the matter. And that the language about the retraction is in effect what they were asking for. Whether it makes sense or not, that's what he was requesting. In other words, so then he's saying, I won't sue the city doesn't have to spend any money to defend it, and city doesn't have to pay any money to me. He's basically looking for it to go on the, if you wanted to change the language, that's up to you. If you want to adopt it or not, that's entirely up to you as a council.
That was one of my questions. We can change the language now, and if we change one word, would that, is there a handshake Zoom lawyer deal that
There is no handshake Zoom lawyer deal. First of all, I'm talking to anybody over Zoom, but second of all, I don't speak for the council in terms of what you may or may not adopt, or what you may or may not want to say. So we've indicated that, you know, this would be brought in front of the council because they have an ethical duty to bring it to you, so you can make a decision about what you want to do. If you want to change the language, you are free to do that. It would be your resolution to say what you think is appropriate. I can't tell you whether or not that would be satisfactory to Mr. Moore. I suspect if you just made it clear that, you know, this Mr. Palladino is speaking in terms of his own opinion, and that's not the opinion necessarily of the city council as a whole or of the city, that might be sufficient. I don't know, can't tell you that, because it would be up to Mr. Moore.
I'm concerned that we might go through that and change one word and then pass it and then find out Mr. Moore doesn't like it and Mr. Moore will sue us anyway. It sounds like you're backing away from any ownership of this. I will ask the city manager. It says, recommendation, adopt the attached resolution. I frankly find that outrageous. You could have presented it to us, but with a recommendation. This is not serious. The allegations, the threatened lawsuit isn't serious. The only clause I agree with, I will read it, it's the whereas. Whereas, at the regular city council meeting held on January 20, 2026, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino made various comments regarding Eric Moore during the discussion of the approval of Mr. Moore's appointment to the city's library board. Dr. Morrissey, I would like to thank you. I think, looking back, that's the most statesmanlike comment you've made, and I want to thank you for that. Again, that this is even before us, that it has some possibility of going through, I can't understand. And to go over some of what Dr. Morrissey said, clarifying for whom? Who are we clarifying for? He does not speak for city council. There's no one in this county that doesn't know that Mayor Pro Tem Palladino does not speak for the city council in that instance. Do not reflect the opinion of the city council as a whole. Ridiculous. As Dr. Morrissey said, we are unable to retract someone else's statements. Is Mayor Pro Tem Palladino not articulate? Did he not speak his mind extemporaneously, I might add, remembering the events from 3 years ago or more? Conveying the beliefs of the city council. In the matter of the discussion concerning the appointment of Mr. Eric Moore to the library board, Mayor Pro Tem Joshua Palladino did nothing wrong. You will forgive me should I betray any contempt, and I cannot presume how the majority on this council will vote. I can't imagine anyone voting for this, much less a majority. But I've been surprised before. I dare say never in a manner of this, the stakes are so low, and yet the indignity that we're asked to suffer, would we betray ourselves to gain nothing? I shall not. Is this, Mr. Mayor, how we lower negativity? Because my negativity, for one, speaking for myself, has never been higher. I will cease.
Thank you. Any more council discussion? Councilman Flynn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of questions for our legal. If we choose not to pass this, and if Mr. Moore's lawsuit against the city goes forward, is it two separate lawsuits? Is it one against the city and one against Mr. Palladino, or is it all rolled into one?
There is no lawsuit.
If there were to be.
That would be up to Mr. Moore and his counsel. My assumption would be it would be one lawsuit.
Okay.
Naming both the city as a defendant and Mr. Palladino.
Is there the possibility, would this be a jury? I don't want to say a jury trial, or would this be, how would this be determined?
That would be up to the parties, so a plaintiff can request a jury trial or not. It's up to them, and the defendant can request a jury trial or not.
Okay, so I'm guessing though that when the decision comes down, there's a chance, possibility, that they would find for one and not the other. I mean, they could say, you know what, we understand that Mr. Palladino doesn't speak for the city, so we're gonna say that, you know, the suit against the city has no merit, but we'll continue on with the suit against Mr. Is that a possibility?
Sure, the claims against Mr. Palladino and against the city would be somewhat different. The defenses would be somewhat the same, but some of them would be different. So Mr. Palladino might have some different defenses than the council would have.
Okay. And one other question that was brought up to me a lot is what rights does a council person have sitting at this chair to say things? I mean, I've had several people say, well, council members are covered by governmental immunity or, you know, hilarious phrase. Is that such a thing? Are we covered? Aren't we covered? I guess we ought to start from there just to see.
So there's something called the Governmental Tort Liability Act, which, if you think about it, the government is the sovereign in the United States. It's like the king. You couldn't sue the king, right? So you can't sue the sovereign unless the sovereign says you can, right? So the Governmental Tort Immunity Act, or Tort Liability Act, provides for those circumstances where the government does and doesn't have liability from suit. There is a provision in that act that specifically relates to people who are legislators at every level of the government, which includes here, people who are judicial, in the judicial branch, and the highest appointed executive officer in a governmental agency, which here would be the city manager, right? So there is absolute immunity for things that you say in the context of performing your obligations within that, including as a legislator, when you're discussing something that is in front of you as part of the legislation. And that liability, or excuse me, immunity is absolute. Doesn't have anything to do with your intent or anything like that. So there is that. It's not a matter of, and I won't be the one likely defending this, it would be someone that gets a referral if the city were to be sued from the city's insurance company. It's not so much whether you would, if the city were sued, that there would be liability. In my personal opinion, I find it hard to believe there would be, okay? But again, I'm not the guy that's going to be handling the case most likely. The question is, because of the city's insurance coverage, which has a $25,000 deductible, the city would be paying the first $25,000 of the defense of any suit. The taxpayers would be paying. So that is the, as far as I can see, the main reason, if you were inclined to do something along the lines of what's in the resolution, why you might want to do it. And that would be it. It would be to avoid the expense of having to defend it. Now, that's not to say that, you know, depending on what the claims were, maybe, and this is rare, but maybe, just maybe, there was a way you could recover your fees, but if you were successful, but that's generally not the case in litigation. You know, everybody pays their own fees, win, lose, or draw. So, unless a court determines, unless there's a statute that says you get your fees paid if, you know, if you win, or if there is a determination made that a claim is frivolous such that it is devoid of any legal, arguable, factual, or legal merit. Okay. And in those circumstances, you can get your attorney's fees paid if you're successful in defending yourself. That's about it. So, if you are looking to do surgery on this, and you're troubled with the retraction language, the middle paragraph doesn't have any of that. It's basically just clarifying what people have said here, which is that Mr. Palladino doesn't speak for the city, and it's not necessarily the opinion of the city as a whole or of the council as a whole. I suspect that's what Mr. Moore is really looking for.
Councilman Stuccio.
I just want to get back to the basics. We're in the legalese here. This is a misunderstanding between two people. And when you have those type of things, and Mr. Moore has graciously asked for a simple apology. He's not asking for lawsuits, he's not, I mean, I know that's what he's applied for, but he's just asking for a simple apology. And I couldn't even come up with a whole list that Eric and Rich Moore and Ginger Moore have done for this community. It's, I mean, he has been serving this community longer than some of us at this table have been breathing. So let's put the legal stuff aside. This is about a simple apology. Misunderstanding. That's all it is. Thank you.
Councilman Bellman.
There is no misunderstanding. He said it on YouTube. We've all seen it. Mr. Moore watched it. Were I to speculate, I would say he's been carrying a grudge against Mayor Pro Tem Palladino for some number of years. he threatened back in January, it is now March. I don't pretend to understand what he's doing. He gave us how many, we ignored him, I believe, 2 meetings in a row. Then there was talk that when the lawsuit came, we would go behind closed doors. We seem to have skipped that step. I don't know why we're having this discussion without a lawsuit.
Well, just to clarify, you can't go into closed session to discuss what you want to do unless there's an actual lawsuit filed. That's all. It doesn't, when the comment was made about discussing the merits, I would advise you not to talk about that in open session because you don't know what the claims would be, right? Or any specifics about that. If the lawsuit is filed, then you can go into closed session to discuss your strategy, how you want to address it, that sort of thing. Right?
But what changed? Nothing's changed that I know of. Why are we talking about it now? This is not rise to the level that we should be discussing it in open session or any other session. There's no lawsuit. As far as I know, there's no lawsuit against Mayor Pro Tem Palladino. I don't know what we're doing. We're getting jerked around for, it's January, February, March. What are we doing?
Any more council discussion? Councilman Salah.
I appreciate your input, Councilman Morrissey. It's very helpful, insightful, and I appreciate the letters. I think I received a half dozen that all echoed basically what Mr. Allen said when he came before us in council comment. And while I may disagree with some of the things that Councilman Palladino said here in his attitude toward the approval of Mr. Moore, I'm inclined to defend his right to say it, and I think that's important. I think, I'm sorry Mr. Moore was offended by it. I would have been offended by it, so I understand that. But I think if we do pass this resolution, then we're just opening up a Pandora's box for people to sue us because we said they looked silly in their dress today or something. And I think Councilman Palladino was sincere in what he was arguing, and I defend his right to have said it, so I must vote no. And then bringing out the language, when I read it, I kind of had some questions about it, but your clarity there, Councilman Morrissey, was very helpful. So.
I just want to say something. I do agree with Councilman Stuchel. I do believe Mr. Moore deserves an apology. Councilman Bellamy.
Mr. Mayor, you and a council member once accused the predecessor to Mr. Moore on the library board of something I find far more egregious than whatever Mr. Palladino might have said about Mr. Moore. And I don't know, are we inviting him to a lawsuit, an apology, and whatnot? I see Mr. Lashway over there. He leans in a litigious direction, and he put a resolution before this body concerning your behavior one night, and we ignored it. Should we consider that in open session? I don't know why Mr. Moore named this city and this body in the first place, especially after the kind words he received from Councilman Morrissey and Councilman Flynn, and implicitly, I guess, from Councilman Stuchel. What do we have to do with any of it? If he has a beef, which it's an ongoing beef, is my understanding, with Mayor Pro Tem Palladino, what has that to do with us? He speaks for himself, and now we have to respond to this frivolity. presumably, if he decides to pull the trigger on his lawsuit, as he's promised for 6 weeks maybe, he and Mr. Palladino will see each other in court, and one of them will be vindicated, and one of them will be humiliated, presumably, and we ought not weigh in on it one way or the other. And again, I will point out, I think I understood from the attorney that there's no guarantee that he doesn't change his mind and sue us again for what we've said tonight. He seems to be litigious, which is what Mayor Pro Tem Palladino kind of mentioned, if I remember correctly. Forgive me if I'm mischaracterizing anything from my memory.
Any more council discussion? Seeing none, we do have a motion on the floor with a second. Any more council discussion? Seeing none, we have a roll call vote. City Clerk Price.
Yes, Councilperson Soha.
No.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Wolfram,
No.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley,
No.
Councilperson Flynn,
No.
Morrissey,
No.
Palladino.
No.
6 to 2, that's, fail.
All right, thank you. All right, we have, item C is now the 2025-2026 street project discussion. City Manager Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor. So after our last meeting where we took up the special assessment districts and there was no motion made to move them forward, staff put this memo together to kind of bring forward to council to discuss how we move forward and get your opinion on what our next steps should be. So I'm going to read my memo into the record, and then we could have some discussion on how council thinks we should proceed. So one of the city council's primary goals is to address the declining quality of the city's street and infrastructure systems. Since 2021, the city of Hillsdale has relied on special assessments as one component of a broader funding strategy for street reconstruction. This approach was developed in response to the city's significant infrastructure needs and limited funding sources available to address the backlog of deteriorated streets. The use of special assessments has been guided by policies adopted and supported by City Council and implemented by staff in accordance with those directives. Under this framework, special assessment districts have been used in combination with other funding sources, including Act 51 revenue, local street millage funds, grants, to complete the greatest amount of street reconstruction work in the shortest time possible. Between 2021 and 2025, 8 special assessment districts were created, allowing the city to complete over almost 5.9 million in street reconstruction projects over the past 5 seasons. This progress has helped move the city closer to an annual level of work necessary to prevent overall street conditions from deteriorating faster than they can be repaired. Recent proposals to establish special assessment districts for 3 proposed 25 to 26 street projects were not approved. The outcome of these proposals created uncertainty regarding how the city should proceed with future street improvements. Hillsdale continues to face substantial infrastructure needs, with many streets rated in poor or failed condition and requiring reconstruction rather than routine maintenance. Absent the use of special assessments, the city's available funding for street reconstruction is significantly reduced. Without additional revenue sources, staff will be limited to completing fewer projects annually, reducing the size and scope of improvements, and extending the timeline required to address the city's backlog of deteriorated streets. To effectively plan future street reconstruction work, staff needs clear guidance from council regarding how road projects should be handled moving forward. Specifically, staff requests direction on the following questions. If council desires to change the current policy, question 1. If council desires to change the current policy, which makes special assessments mandatory for each project, does the council support pursuing alternative funding options, such as levying the previously authorized street sinking fund millage? Would the council consider other revenue generating sources as outlined in the staff's December 8th, 2025 presentation to council? Alternatively, if there's no additional funding sources are authorized, should staff proceed with street projects utilizing only current available funds, with the understanding that this approach will reduce the number of street projects or amount of work that can be completed each year, extend the timeline required to address the city's backlog of failing roads, and as an option, potentially favor low-cost maintenance treatments over full reconstructions where feasible to help make up the funding shortfall. And the recommendation on this is basically a discussion item of, once council provides guidance to the staff regarding the approaches and funding approaches and expectations, staff can develop updated plans, budgets, and project recommendations that align with this direction. So that's what we're seeking, is to have some discussion on what the council direction should be for staff to move forward with. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council discussion on this. Councilman Flynn.
Is there a way to combine a couple of these? Like I said at the last meeting, and again, there's a possibility that we might have somebody come and say, hey, we got 50% plus one that want our streets done, so we'll do a special assessment district. So I think that should be left on the table, but can we also change the wording somehow that says, okay, if SAD's not going to do it, then maybe we can do Plan B. Maybe we can, I don't know, peel the first couple inches off, the street and just repave, or we can do something like that, or, that if we can afford to do that. Is there a way that we can do both? I mean, you have both options available, that if nobody wants a SAD, but we come across the street like South or Berry that really needs to be done, we'll say, okay, well, at least we can, maybe with funds available through, the street sinking millage fund, we can get enough money, peel the top layer off, put a new layer of asphalt down, so that at least we get rid of the potholes. Is that a possibility? Is that something we can do, or?
To answer that, I believe there are some creative alternatives we can look at, whether it's a combination of special assessments for those who might want them, maybe something less expensive for those who are opposed to them. I think there's some options out there. That is something we've talked about in the past. And if council consensus is that, they want the staff to put their heads together and come up with something that might kind of meet in the middle, I think we can do that. I do think we do have some streets out there that might still be interested in the special assessments or the full reconstruct per se. So it could be a possibility, yes.
And could we, could we sustain that too, to be able to do like just a straight, every year, instead of doing the curving, the infrastructure on that, and, give them a different approach to it?
We would look at that, because what we're most interested in, besides kind of being fair to everyone, is putting a plan together that is sustainable, that we can carry forward, so we would look at the numbers. Like, for example, on the special assessment districts that we had in front of council at the last meeting. Between the three projects, it was over 934,000 special assessments. So if we move forward, say with those projects and they do not have special assessments, we have to come up with an additional $900,000 to do that, which is not a sustainable venture. But that being said, we can look at things to try to, I don't know, be somewhat more creative to kind of get that done, if that's the direction of council.
Okay, and maybe they can be surveyed before and, ask if they want, like, the special assessment or do the lesser, amount of a project.
Yeah, that, I would say, Mayor, that's possible. And for those in council and those in the audience, the first projects that we did, they were brought forward to the city that wanted their streets done or their neighborhoods done. So the first 2, 3 actually came forward to us. We kind of, after that, the city was proposing streets based on a combined need between the BPU and the city. I know Councilman Flynn asked this, maybe that wasn't the best approach moving forward, and maybe that will need to be changed to get more support.
Councilman Wolford.
I've been looking into special assessment districts, and I believe that these are an efficient way to deal with the problem. If you look at it, what it does is it certainly improves the value of the property. And if other people drive on the road, that's fine, but the people who are basically getting the benefit to their property itself are the people who paid. And so I was in West Street, and one of the first ones, paid $5,000, and I'm sure that the value of my property went up by more than $5,000 by that happening. So I think it's a good way of dealing with this problem. Now, one thing I was thinking about is that if you could figure out beforehand, and so people don't know whether they're going to have to pay $5,000 or whether they're going to have to pay $3,200 or whatever it's going to be. I believe in one of the special assessment districts that people said, well, if it was really only going to, if it was going to be $3,800, then we might have agreed to it. But if it's $5,000, it's going to be too much for us. So I would argue that there's a Citizens Research Council did a study on this, and I read through that carefully. And so I do think that they're a good way of approaching this, but it would be useful if we could figure out what the cost is going to be beforehand, and then present that to people so that they can choose to vote on it or not based on what the cost is going to be for them.
Thank you.
No council discussion. Councilman Soha.
I would recommend that public services take it up again. And we had, last year, we amended the SADS trying to rectify the situation, and it was an obvious, didn't work out with the people. But 2 people during the last SADS, I believe it was 2, it was at least one, Mr. Kuykendall, but they said if it was $2,800, they would have gone with it. Now I asked Mr. Mackey about that, what would $2,800 do? And it would significantly diminish the city's ability to do multiple projects. So that's something for us to consider, but with, we can't come up with $930,000 for 3 projects every year. That's just not something, so we gotta consider, are we willing to do significantly less projects every year, which is an option that we can choose, but if we do that, then there's no headway is gonna be made, because the infrastructure is so terribly, Berry and South Street are prime examples of, and Oak, prime examples of streets that are desperate for attention. So, I mean, we have a hard job. The people are obviously upset, you know, and I understand, it's understandable. But Mr. Mackey, would you help me understand this under number 1, levying the previously authorized street sinking fund millage at 1.4 mils? I thought that our millages were maxed out already. Would this be an additional mills, or are we repurposing 1.4 mils, or how does that work?
No, we are not maxed out. We have up to 20 mills, and we have up to actually 1.4 mills left on that millage maximum. So that's just an idea or a suggestion, and the reason that is put on there, because that was done prior to special assessments. Now remember, that hits everyone equally, but you know, some of the discussion was on the neighborhood road funding program, and that we were going to receive $407,000 for that. Now, that wouldn't still cover half of the special assessments we're losing, but we've already received communication from the state that that number's been revised down to $355,000, and that for the Citizens Advisory Council, they've said that only 7 or 30% of that revenue source is solid. The rest of them, the 70% of it, is not guaranteed.
Right, but I was talking about the Citizens Research Council.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yes. It was a report that they've done on that, and it said that 70% of it is not guaranteed. So the number's been lowered to 355, and there's no guarantee that that is the number we're going to get. In fact, Senator Lindsay has brought forth a resolution to actually eliminate the marijuana tax. That was a big portion of that. So the likelihood of us getting what was originally proposed is diminishing as the year goes by, and we've received no funds.
I would like to see this as a council of the whole, for all of us to be in on this and work through it. And not just send it to the committee, but have all of us work on it as a council of the whole. But, okay, Councilman Wolfen?
One other thing I was thinking about is that it would also be nice if the people knew that you weren't, because a lot of what you're doing perhaps is fixing the underlying infrastructure, right? And what you're doing, you know, dealing with the water problem or et cetera, so that maybe when people are informed of what the project would be, they would understand it. They're not just paving the road. That's why this is more expensive than you might think, because we gotta go in there and fix the, you know, problems with the water, whatever, isn't that a portion of what we spend your money on?
Correct. So the projects that have been brought forward are complete reconstructions. So typically, one would say so I'll use South Street as an example. South Street was reconstructed back in the 1960s with special assessments, and actually they were $3,000, and then when they were reconstructed. If you fast forward that to today, it'd be about $33,000 a parcel, but they were done back in the 60s, so we're 60 plus years later. As you know, we state when we're talking about these, roads are typically, the life cycle for a road is 25 years is what you target. So to say that, I just want to clarify one thing, to say that the city was neglecting the roads is not true, because we got 3 times the life out of these roads than we should have. And you know, at this point, there is no continuing to patch them that will last. So they have to be either reconstructed from the ground up, curb, gutter, sidewalk, everything, or you know, we could look at maybe a more economical option that takes off some of it.
Yeah, I was just saying that when you make the presentation to the people, what they're voting on to have this special assessment district, that they understand that it's not, your $3,800 or whatever is not just paving the road. We've gotta go in there and deal with all this other thing underneath. And so as long as, I guess, making sure that people are presented that when they're given the question about whether they wanna have the special assessment or not.
Thank you.
Councilman Bentley.
Mr. Mackey, if I remember correctly, at the end of the last meeting, you suggested you would get back to us with some kind of proposal. There's no proposal here. Speaking for the people, if you'll forgive me, I wonder if I'm the only one who hears them. I believe they would like some accountability and some contrition. There is a complete lack of contrition in this council and in this staff. What went wrong? I would like to know. Whose fault? We just followed Mr. Mackey into a blind canyon and got annihilated, and then we're pretending like it didn't happen. The process, they followed the process. The process got us here. What are we gonna do? We're not road engineers. We don't need, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, another special meeting of the whole. We did that. I challenge anyone around this table to remember anything we learned at that. We're not expert. We'll choose a road when staff presents a dollar amount, tells us what our budget is. Certainly we have $1.2 million, $1.6 million, I don't know what we got. And then we pick a road and we fix it. We're not gonna fix SADs. Nobody wants to hear about SADs for, if not a generation, at least the rest of the year. The engineer came out in October. We talked about getting bids out and getting roads done. Are we gonna do any roads this year? Or are we gonna just sit around here and talk about the infrastructure under the road and how to explain it to the people? Because Mr. Wolfram seems to think the people have a problem understanding. What the people understand is the roads are deteriorating. Did anyone not read the op-ed that was written in the Collegian this week? Did anyone not read the 1,000-page write-up from the Collegian that was framed by Mr. Fry? There's no contrition there. It's the people's fault. The people don't understand. The people aren't opening their pocketbooks. It's ridiculous. We need to fix the roads. Are we going to fix any roads this year? When are we going to decide that? It's March.
Councilman Silva.
Councilman Bentley, if I remember correctly, and correct me, there might have been one on opposition when we passed at a full council meeting the amended SAD rules. So we all, or at least we had a majority that said, hey, this is the way we're going to move forward. And then the people came, very ardently and said, we don't want to spend another $5,000. And that's understandable. Who wants to do that? Councilman Flynn brought up some great points previously that Mr. Mackey just confirmed. Until that money's in our bank account, I don't want to count on it for anything. And then, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino has argued millage, like the shrinking fund millage proposed, is more equitable because the whole city is contributing to the city's infrastructure, not just a select person. So I understand that, but gosh, to max out our millages, my property taxes have skyrocketed over the last 2 years. I don't want to pay another 1.4 million. But at the same time, I want the roads fixed. But for you to rebuke us as you just did, we've been working on it, and we agreed as council that we're going to move forward with SADs. Now the people said, hey, don't do that. So now we have to readjust and we have to reassess. A meeting as a whole, that's fine. Let the people come back and give us their suggestions, and then we need to weigh those. But the way that we are to move forward with road construction presently is through SADs. And if we don't approve SADs, then we don't do any roads. Is that correct interpretation, Mr. Mackey?
That is our current policy, Councilman.
Right, so that's our policy. We amended the SADs last year. Maybe we need to amend them again. You know, we're working at the speed of government, which is not a bad thing necessarily because we're not spending any money. But the road, we do need to spend money to fix the roads. But nobody's shown me, again, where we can cut the budget to come up with $900,000 shortfall to fix the roads. I really appreciate our new chief bringing us, you know, at a reduced rate, turnout gear that is required for him to do his job and to jump in a truck, which is welcome in my opinion that he's willing to do that. But nevertheless, you know, there's a place where we might be able to save money if we can find deals on turnout gear, but at the same time, the fire department millage fund is, or, you know, the millages for public safety are for public safety. We can't use those on roads, right? So we have limitations here at council as well. So, you know, tonight we don't have enough information to change everything and to make a decision that I think would be equitable. But it's definitely something that we should consider. That's why I suggested moving into a committee. If we want to do a committee of a whole, that's fine. If everybody's willing.